I couldn't find the original video of this, so I thought I would just share the one from Politics Joe. And I thought the first comment here was absolutely genius. You know it's bad when Thatcherites are criticizing conservative government. Anyway, this is going to be a long one, but have a listen.
I'm one of the few surviving members of Margaret Thatcher's first government. And I am amazed to find myself sitting listening to the arguments from the front bench here as to why her greatest achievement should be sacrificed. I remember Arthur Cockfield, not perhaps a household name today, but if you look him up in Wikipedia, you'll see he's described as the father of the common market. And that is right, because Margaret, not a natural supporter of foreigners, saw very clearly that the mistakes of the common agricultural policy must not be made again. And so she sent Arthur Cockfield to Brussels as a commissioner in order to make sure that British self-interests were dominant in the negotiations of the single market. The single market, historically, perhaps one of the most extraordinary successful concepts ever developed by humankind. The implementation was difficult against difficult economic circumstances, endless forms, small employers at night having done all the work themselves, finding yet another form, and the flames fanned by those two great arbiters of British self-interest, Rupert Murdoch and Conrad Black. There was a growing resentment, and John Major inherited the problem. Go to it, Tarzan, he said to the Tory party conference. And I was entrusted with the first serious attempt to look at the real effect of all these wealth-destroying, uncivilized, burdensome regulations. I went to it with all the enthusiasm that I hope you would expect of me. And what did I do? Well, I was entrusted with a Minister of State in every department to worm it away, dig it all out. I set up public-private sector committees for each field of activity, led by some of the most strident critics of the regulatory process. And I actually published 3,000 of these regulations, not have any hidden from anybody. Let's know what we're all talking about in detail. Here they are, great volumes of stuff. And I did something else. I wrote to every trade association, and I said, look, I'm your man. All you've got to do is to send me a regulation as drafted that is holding your members back, undermining the country, and send me an alternative draft, and I'm your man. I didn't get any replies. Of course, the issue, my lords, is central to Brexit. Once the decision was taken, I was rather against it. It was important to get on and do something about the new world, because the uncertainty was bound to be burdensome and frustrating. And I thought it was absolutely right that the principal Brexiteers were put in charge of the show. Boris Johnson, David Davis, Liam Fox. They, after all, presumably knew what the opportunities were, what needed to be done, what was holding us back. So they were in charge. Well, that didn't last long. Jacob Rees-Mogg, well, with Robespierrean fanaticism and a whole new government department called Exiting the EU. Well, let's not get carried away. The nameplate on the door changed. But with Robespierrean fanaticism, he threw himself into the task. An uncharacteristic lack of history, I think, here, because, of course, Robespierre followed Louis XIV to the guillotine. And, well, it's a generous and kinder world we live in today. 4 prime ministers later, Jacob Rees-Mogg back on the backbenches, dozens of ministers have lost their jobs, and I say to my noble friends on the front bench, beware. Beware. Here today, gone tomorrow, has an ominous ring for anyone who becomes mired in this Brexit saga. In essence,
My lords, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry here today.
I beg my noble lord, I am in favour of free and open discussion. And I would not want to see you silenced in any way. The floor is yours, please. Ah, well, here we are, another vacuum in the Brexit debate. But the essence, of course, is that all those empty generalisations, all those promises, all that new world, there was nothing there. This bill demonstrates beyond peradventure that they did not know what they were doing. 6 years on, they did not know what they were doing. They have actually now created a giant question mark over a whole realm of actually the regulations that are the custodian that separates us from the law of the jungle. They are what defines a civilized society. And at a time of economic stress, when we need desperately to increase the levels of investment in our economy, what have they provided? A giant question mark for anyone seeking to know whether to spend a penny piece in the United Kingdom economy. My lords, I beg of you, do not let this legislation leave this place unscathed.
So it's funny actually because here's a good look at this, right? So obviously it is a wonderful, wonderful speech. And everything is said so eloquently. I wish I could speak like that, because I always just seem to mumble and lose my words. But anyway, there's a few things to be said. Firstly, what can you say against his speech? Perfectly done, perfectly illustrates the state of Brexiteers and the state we're in now. Secondly, more and more, so I'm 100% against the monarchy, the House of Lords, all these unelected people sitting there making decisions. But it seems to me that more and more the House of Lords are the voice of reason in our desperately corrupt and morally corrupt and self-interested government and people in government. Our MPs, our whole kind of legislative community up there just seems to be literally the worst of the worst. Either selfish, narcissistic, incompetent, stupid, it doesn't matter which one, but obviously decisions are being made which are atrocious. And then again, against the House of Lords, is we're paying these folk a shitload of money to be there. And this dude has been sleeping the whole way through. Yeah. I mean, he doesn't look fit to be a decision maker anymore. I mean, I don't want to be ageist, but there is a certain point at which your age starts counting against you being able to be, a decision maker. I mean, sorry. We're paying this dude to be there. Anyway.